Hi guys! So, we are back from a 7-day South Caribbean cruise on board. Southern Caribbean on board.
And Norwegian Viva. I'll say it the right way. NCL Viva is how I used to say it, but apparently it is Norwegian Viva. This was our first time on Norwegian Cruise Line, and as Justin said just a minute ago, it was this Southern Caribbean cruise going out of San Juan to Tortola, Antigua, Barbados, St. Lucia, St. Martin,
and St. Thomas. St. Thomas, that was the last one. And then back into Puerto Rico.
And then back into Puerto Rico, San Juan.
So the reason why we were on Norwegian Viva was because, if you can remember, we were supposed to go on her sister ship, the inaugural, on Norwegian Prima.
Yeah, and if you haven't checked that out, check out the video above, because it is there.
But because we couldn't go on there, we looked around, found this cruise. It was a bit of a bargain because of the on-board credit
we were
that we were getting.
Because of the delays with Norwegian Prima, we were given a lot of extra credit for on board and lots of other things like that. So it made what was quite an expensive cruise, if you paid full amount for this, quite a decent discounted rate, basically, with all the on-board credit that we were offered. So, and this was offered to everyone who was on that original inaugural cruise that was cancelled.
It's a shame we didn't get to Greenland, but hey, the Caribbean, I'm not going to complain to you.
It was a lot warmer.
Yeah, it was a lot warmer.
But still, the cocktails and the sun have caused a bit of a haze. So I do believe it is time to roll VT!
Come take my hand, I will walk with you. I won't let go till you say so. There isn't anything I wouldn't do. Wanna make sure that you understand. You're the one who gives my life color. There is no one other. With your hand in mine, let me go by your side. Let me go by your side. I wanna stay in your sunlight. I wanna wake up with you by my side. Without you there is no tomorrow. We could be in for the best ride. Want this to last for the rest of our lives. Without you there is no tomorrow. Sometimes I wonder where you came from. You are special, yeah, you're special. Everything about you is so beautiful. I am all yours if you let me stay. You're the one who gives my life color. There is no another. With your hand in mine, let me go by your side. Let me go by your side. Stay in your sunlight. I wanna wake up with you by my side. Without you there is no tomorrow. We could be in for the best ride. Want this to last for the rest of our lives. Without you there is no tomorrow.
Got to get me esky. We're gonna have barbecue. Let's go. Wow, that was amazing, wasn't it?
That was an absolutely fantastic holiday. Can we go back?
It was quite expensive. So, have we won the lottery?
No.
Then no, we won't be going back at the moment.
Back to the day jobs.
So look, if you really like these VTs and love our content, how about you consider subscribing? It costs you absolutely nothing. And you can also find us on other social media. We have Instagram, we have Patreon. If you want to become a Patreon member, you get extra access and see all the craziness behind the scenes.
You see behind the scenes, you see early releases, you get footage and stuff that we don't even share on any other channel. So
first to see these as well. So that's a bonus. So before we get into the review, can you explain, Tristan, what free at sea is, because it is something unique to NCL?
Yeah, so it is something that is unique to NCL. So when you do your booking, you can do a cruise only fare, or you can do free at sea, which effectively allows you to choose. Normally it's either 2 or 4 items from their kind of either free internet,
things, yeah.
open bar, specialty dining, and shore excursion credit. Now, because of actually the issues with Prima, we got upgraded to Free at Sea Plus, which gets you all 4 but more of each. So instead of having 2 specialty dinings, we got 4 specialty dinings.
Yep.
We got, instead of 155 minutes of internet, we got unlimited internet. And we'll come on to that a bit later, what the internet was like. And also we got upgraded bar, so to Premium Plus, I think it
was. Yeah, Premium Plus at the top.
Which was like basically nothing was really out of bounds, per the glass anyway. And we got more shore excursion credit.
Now, Tristan, you would probably agree with me. There was some really, really great things about Viva.
Yeah, there were many things that we really loved about this ship.
But there were some things that really, really shocked us. And if you want to know what they were, you're going to have to keep watching. Roll up, it's Embarkation.
Roll up?
Yeah, well, you've got to roll up because you've got to roll up to go to the ship. I don't know.
I don't know either. Nuts. Yes, Embarkation was a bit of a crazy whirlwind. We had a whole pretty much 24 hours with a few flight delays in there. A flight from the UK to New York, and then New York down to San Juan. Well, I think we sat on the plane for about 3 hours. And the flight was only supposed to be 3 hours. We sat on the tarmac for 3 hours, so that was really not fun. We got in really late.
Yeah.
We rolled into our hotel, pretty much passed out in bed. Got up and went to the port. And the best description I can give is very well organised, but it kind of reminded me of a cattle shed.
It was a massive slab of concrete with metal around it. That's all I can explain it. But
I'm big fans. Those fans are huge.
Yeah.
I was kind of worried that I was like, if they drop, we are really done. This whole area is done for.
The ship.
No, that's a truck, isn't it?
It's like, it depends on which ship you go on, because it's like, just like...
I'm not even going to try and do the princess horn. No. But the ship, as we said, it was a beautiful ship.
Beautifully.
So well decorated. I mean,
beautiful.
The decorating and the interior design on this ship was impeccable.
I'd have to say, though, the ship design itself was a little bit strange.
It was very, I think we've used this word before,
corridory.
You kind of went through one venue to get to another venue, which on modern ships, and this is a brand new ship, you've got to remember, that is unusual.
Yeah.
To go from that kind of design. Normally they're all on a big atrium, or their venues off a big galleria or something. Yeah. And coming from like Royal Caribbean and like the AIDA ships, the XL class ones, they all have this great space, and that was something that was really lacking on this ship. I felt.
I'd have to say the most weirdest part of the ship was the atrium, and I just don't think the atrium worked. It is the hub of everything, and
Any
that's
ship.
where everyone wanted to come, but the design of the atrium was just weird. It was just strange, wasn't it?
I've got to say, the crew and the entertainment crew and things did a really good job of doing some fantastic entertainment in there, and we will cover the entertainment shortly. But one thing they couldn't overcome was just that they had bits that, like, from one floor to the next, it overhung, so you couldn't see what they were doing. There was no way to centrally see all the action that was going on. That was really disappointing, because you were like, I want to stand and watch this, but downstairs is really crammed, and up on the other levels, I can't see anything.
Yeah. It was weird. Like, I mean, there was a whiskey bar, but it wasn't sort of defined as a whiskey. So everything just looked a bit sameish, and it just didn't, I don't know, the space in the atrium just didn't work for me.
And there were some other great venues on board. You had things like Sid Norman's, which is for live bands and things. And you had improv with the kind of comedy club. Really great, but also really small venues.
Yeah.
For the size of the ship, they clearly are trying to disperse people throughout the ship. But all the venues are quite small, and therefore when there's an act that's a popular act, very difficult to get in and see.
Yeah. What do you think about the outside, though? I think the outside spaces were interesting.
A missed opportunity again.
Yeah.
I noticed before we went on board, I did a little bit of research, and NCL make a big thing about their Ocean Boulevard and their infinity beaches and all this stuff, and bringing the outside in and stuff, and it really didn't feel like that on board, I've got to say. No. It was a lovely space, don't get me wrong, and it was great. I do love a promenade deck, and it was a full wraparound promenade, and I do like a full wraparound promenade deck. However, this eating in out thing, and given that we're in the Caribbean and it was prime time, it's hot over there at the moment.
Yeah.
It was very few times could you sit outside or offered to sit outside. Even like Los Lobos had an outdoor area. It wasn't really used, or you weren't really offered it. All of them. The only time we were offered it was when it was pouring with rain in Antigua, and it was like a wash, and it was just like we were so desperate to eat something, we did sit out because it was still covered at least. But there wasn't any kind of like drainage seemingly in the area or mopping up, because after it stopped raining, we seemed to sit for the next 45 minutes to an hour or more waiting for our food in a puddle.
Yeah. Of the cabin. Yes, that's where we sleep. Well, sometimes, yes. That's where we sleep. No, we hang out there.
It was a lovely cabin.
It was. Do you think it was one of your favourites, though?
That's difficult to quantify. It was certainly very pretty.
Yeah.
It felt bigger. I'm fairly sure they're pretty much, and I know they are, pretty much cabins are standard sized. But this felt bigger.
It was the design, I think.
I think it's the design. I've noticed one thing as well, having just edited as well our cabin tour, which check out above, for the full cabin tour. The desks on the ship seem to be getting smaller and smaller, and therefore less storage in them, which is sometimes a good thing because it makes the space feel bigger, but also you do have less storage.
Yeah, that's true.
Having said that, you were quite surprised by the storage. I know you were.
Yeah, I mean, the storage was a bit odd. Like, there was some things, and if you watch our video, you'll see that with the storage, there was some side tables. Everything looked big, though, but it wasn't. It wasn't big storage spaces, was it? And especially when there was, like, 3 different types of hanging space, but if you're a woman, it would have been a bit hard to hang a dress in there.
Or a larger male.
Or a larger male.
I did have some issues.
And so, it just was odd.
But they need to take one thing as well that they could do to really improve it, is we've suggested it in our video, and I'll suggest it again now.
Yeah.
But also take a leaf out of Aida's book with the stool. Turn that stool into an esky and you've got a winner in Norwegian. That needs to be an esky.
Yeah, no, it's funny. When you talk about the esky, and you'll see what I mean if you watch our cabin tour as well, but they had a stool at the desk, and it had this handle thing, and it just reminded me of an esky. So an esky, for those who aren't Australian or don't understand Australian lingo, is a cool box or a chili bon if you're in New Zealand.
A chili bon. A chili bin, a ice box.
Oh, ice box, yeah.
I can't think what we call them. Thermos.
Yeah,
thermos. No, that's a flask.
Yeah. What do you call it? Let us know.
Put it in the comments below. There must be lots of names for these, and I'm sure as soon as someone comments the British name, I'll go, yeah, that was it. But I can't remember it now.
But the cabin, I mean, the beds were comfortable.
The bathroom as well was fantastic.
Yeah.
The bathroom was really well designed.
Yep.
The toilet for once, and I'm a big one for this, and I'm sorry this is a bit gross, but the toilet wasn't wedged into a corner.
No,
and I'm a
that's
larger
true.
guy, and never mind, even if I'd lost a lot of weight, I'm tall.
Yeah.
And some of those toilets are really difficult to get into, being tall. So I was pleased that I could get into that. And the shower.
The shower was big.
quite
No, the shower
low.
was big, but it was low.
And one big flaw, though, that I did have with the bed, as you mentioned it was beautiful, comfy, and big. But the light switch on my side was right, actually, technically over the bed.
Yeah, no, that's
And because there was no bed head, it was right where your head was and where your hand would be. So when you were sleeping, if you brushed it, you turned the whole lights on for the whole cabin. And it did happen about 3 or 4 times. I was like, I'm so sorry.
Balcony was okay. Oh, it had the most comfortable seats ever. Oh,
Those
my
chairs
goodness.
were so comfortable.
Yeah. The other thing, there was 2 things that really irked me, and you'll find out in our cabin tour if you go and have a look. One, which I didn't mention in the cabin tour, but that really irked me, and you would agree with me, was the bed, Josh's fold-out bed. So it's great that it just pulls out very easily, but what was the issue with
There
it?
is no room around it at night time. I'm still recovering from the bruises on my shin from this giant esky chair on one side of it, and then this the bed, and then this tiny little narrow gap to walk through.
Yeah.
Which I also have to think that would, if you were 4 adults, that would be a real nightmare, because it wasn't like then you could like half fall on the bed, which I did quite often to get through.
Yeah, I mean, getting older like myself, I have to go to the toilet during the night, so it was like falling over the side of the bed all the time, and it was a bit it just didn't work.
And on that lovely note, ladies and gentlemen,
Let's
on
move
to the
on.
next category.
Food and restaurant.
So, as we mentioned earlier, we had free at C+, which meant we had 4 specialty restaurants out of the 6 or 7 to choose from. There's a lot to choose from.
Yeah.
And we actually chose Los Lobos, which is the elevated Mexican restaurant. Onda by Scarpetta. Never mind, we'll come on to that in a second. Palomar, which really surprised us in a good way. Mm-hmm. And Cagney's we went to. Mm-hmm. You also had the option of a hibachi grill, a sushi restaurant, or a French Le Bistro restaurant, which looks stunning. And I wish we'd had a 5th option. But when you don't go in the package, were those restaurants
they were
expensive? So you'd want to do it only if you had a package, because the prices were more than on land prices. A lot.
Yeah,
it was a lot. So Los Lobos was actually, I think, one of my favourites.
Yeah,
I said one. Notice. It was really funky design. The food was stunning. The margaritas were lethal.
Oh my gosh! Tell them about the margarita that you.
I ordered a spicy margarita, and I tell you what, why is it spicy? The guy that was making it was the junior bartender, and I think he was quite new. Oh my goodness, I like a spicy margarita actually, but whoa, was this so hot. The lady asked me if I mind her having a quick taste. She took a taste of it to check with a spoon and teaspoon, and she was like, let me get you another one. That is lethal. So, and thankfully the second one that came was much better. So, Onda by Scarpetta. Now, I have been to Scarpetta on land in London. Obviously, it originates from New York as a chain, and they're very American Italian restaurants, but they're really nice quality. Onda, if you're wondering, means wave in Italian, as I'm doing a lot of Italian stuff at the moment. It's Italian. Unfortunately, the food was a bit of a letdown. And the ambience was a bit.
It wasn't just the food.
Worse.
Yeah. So as you said, it was the ambience. It was the design of the restaurant. It was like one big corridor.
It was very loud.
Very loud.
The whole time. It felt like everyone was having to shout to hear each other.
Yeah.
There was nothing to kind of break up and make it feel more intimate. And the food, I mean, to be honest, and we've had this from a lot of people that were on board said this, it was a real letdown. Like the pasta that I had a spaghetti, and the tomato sauce really tasted like the cheap tomato sauce that you buy in the supermarket. And I'm sorry, but that's not what I expect from a specialty restaurant.
No.
Then we had one of our, and I think this was truly my favourite meal on almost any ship, was Palomar. Now it's a fish restaurant, which isn't your cup of tea normally.
No, I don't eat fish.
However, we went up there, it was sunset, sailing away from Barbados. It was beautiful, the sunset. It's an absolutely beautiful restaurant.
Beautiful big windows all around it.
And I had this whole what they called branzino, I think
Which
they
is
call
sea
it, which is
bream?
I would call it sea bass.
Sea bass.
But whole one cooked in salt and then a salt baked sea bass basically, and then filleted at the table. The guy did a wonderful job of doing that. And it was absolutely stunning. And we also went to Cagney's, and whilst it was a lovely steak and lovely evening in there, Crown Grill is still my favourite, I'm sorry.
We were getting close.
It was close,
Oh.
but still, Crown Grill on Princess Cruises is my favourite steakhouse at sea.
Mine too. Yeah.
At sea.
At sea, yeah. That's true. But I mean, it was close.
It was
really,
though, a
really
lovely
good.
dinner.
Really good.
We had some fantastic starters. You actually kind of cheated a bit, and your starter you gave to Josh because you ordered shrimp for him. So he didn't feel so left out. But yeah, we had a fantastic meal in there.
Yeah. So, if you didn't want to do speciality or you didn't have free at sea, there is 2 main dining rooms, and they are Hudson's and the Commodore room.
One big thing that they have improved since I think the early days of Prima, etc., is the menu is more like a normal main dining room. So there are certain fixed favourites,
And they got
and there are
classics.
certain things that change per port and per day. So there's a bit more variety. So whereas before it was a very it's a fixed menu, it doesn't change. It does now change, which was a good move on their behalf.
Yeah. Drinks and bars.
There were lots of bars on board.
Lots of bars.
Yeah.
Lots and
There
lots.
were a lot of bars.
We didn't find them all. We didn't go to all
Some
of them.
seem to be quite often pretty empty, and some definitely had better offerings than others. Let's put it that way.
And they were hidden around all the everywhere. So like, I don't know. We just they were everywhere. So yeah.
Some of the bars though definitely, as we said, had a better offering than others, and some of them were really missed opportunities.
Yeah.
The Soleil bar on the out of the ship had beautiful seating.
Great.
Just outside Indulge Food Market and at the end, obviously, of the Ocean Boulevard. But the bar was tiny and very limited in its
very
offering. They basically could only really do off the kind of like tap, and they had tap cocktails.
We'll talk about that in a second.
And they had bottled cocktails, and then like 2 beers, and that was it really. Like anything outside of that, they were like, oh, you'll have to go to the bar inside through the restaurant and go to basically the local. And I was like, I'm not going all the way back there to get a drink to then come all the way back here to sit.
Yeah. So there was something that happened with the drinks, and I think we might talk about this in our final thoughts. So stay tuned and find out. One thing I did find, Tristan, was when we went into bars and you looked at the menus, the way in which the menus were set up were pretty much very generic across the whole ship. And what they were trying to do...
And
basic. Trying to get you to either drink out of the tap. So they had cocktails...
Not literally.
Not
literally out of the tap. They won't get you...
Well, they had like cocktails and frozies that were all sort of
Pre-prepared, basically, mass-produced
and
cocktails.
bottles. You had to know what you wanted if you wanted other cocktails. So there was one called Mango Meltdown. We actually Meltdown I think it was, and I had to find it on the internet to actually ask them. But
thanks to Brits on the Ship for suggesting Mudslide was a fantastic cocktail. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
But Kids Club.
So we did do a tour on Kids Club.
We did do a bit of a behind the scenes tour, and we will get some videos out very shortly about that. I would say since post-COVID, and they made this very clear, a lot has changed from the kids clubs on NCL or Norwegian, and then certainly not offering the same offerings they did pre-pandemic.
No, so like with most traditional kids clubs on ships, they have like groups, and they have their age groups, and they have like turtles, doves, whatever. That doesn't exist on NCL anymore.
No.
It's just basically...
One thing that really was, and I'm sorry, poor from NCL's perspective, from my perspective, against all other cruise lines, was the limited hours they were offering and inflexibility in this.
Yeah.
It was only open on the evenings from 8 till 11. If you wanted them to stay from 11 till 1, which is still quite late, you had to pay, which is fine, totally fine with that. But there was no sessions during the day. Even if it was a sea day, there were no sessions on
unless you went in there with your children yourself and supervised the children. Yeah.
I would say there was a lot to do around the ship, and we'll come on to that shortly on entertainment. However, that was very limiting, and the fact that therefore we couldn't have what we would traditionally like on a cruise ship, especially for our side, which is that Josh gets to have his free time and his holiday, and then we come back together as a family and join together. We did have some great times together, but therefore some of the excursions we were doing were not really the best for Josh, and I wouldn't have necessarily brought him on a hike in the sun.
Yeah.
But we kind of had to and pay extra for him to come on as well, because the kids club wasn't open like many other cruise lines would offer. So if you have younger kids, especially, and they're not teenagers who can stay on board themselves because they're over 14, then it's something to be very aware of. You are going to have them with you all the time, which I love having time with Josh.
It's fine.
But it's a very different type of holiday compared to other cruise lines.
Yeah. One other thing that we noticed was there's no real teens area. They meet around the ship and they use the same area as the younger kids, which I find a bit strange. They thought it was great. And then the other thing that really, really was the biggest bugbearer was the virtual queue. Do you want to explain the virtual queue? Oh, gosh.
Not one parent liked this
the
system.
virtual queue.
NCL and Norwegian, you need to scrap this. It's terrible.
Virtual queue.
It was this, basically, you had to go onto the app every time an hour before it opened on you. So it opened at 7 in the evening, actually. Wasn't it?
Yes, it was 7.
So it was 7 in the evening, not 8. So it was 7 till 11. That was it.
Yeah.
And basically, at 6 p.m. you had to go on. Now, I went on at 6:01.
And you'd be like
number 20 in the queue. Which would generally mean... Now, if you went on at 6:05, don't even think about it, because your kid will be 184 and not getting in that evening. So I'm certain there were some kids that never got into Kids Club because you had to be lightning fast in to get them in the queue.
Within 30
and
seconds.
And then even when you were in the queue, it wasn't like... Well, you went up to this point. It was a reservation, so you could go and drop them off at 7. No, it was at 7. They'd open it up and they'd start going through each kid. So then, if you were saying like number 15, you would probably get in about just after 8 p.m.
Yeah, that's true.
So an hour after Kids Club is open, they would get to like 20 in the queue.
Yeah.
Which it just means that they're like, oh, it's great because you don't have to wait with your kid. I do have to still wait because I still have to sign him in.
And sit there looking at your phone while you're trying to eat dinner.
And I have to be sitting there checking it every few minutes on my phone to check if they can. So I don't get a relaxing evening, they don't get a relaxing evening in Kids. So Norwegian, sort it out.
Yeah, I don't like it. Viva Las Vegas! No, it's Viva, Norwegian Viva, sorry. Entertainment.
Yes. There's lots. Having said about the limitations on Kids Club, there is a lot of entertainment available on board. You've got the Viva Speedway, which Josh really enjoyed that last evening that we did it in. Mm-hmm. You've got Drop and Rush. Now, Drop is one... They're both dry slides. Well, they're all dry slides.
They're all dry slides, yeah.
But Drop is one where the floor goes from underneath you and you kind of drop at great speed.
Awesome.
Yeah, Josh screamed like a lot going down that one. I could hear him from the bottom a long way. The lady was in fits of laughter at the bottom. The Rush is, I think, you kind of race each other.
But it wasn't fast. It just sort of went down the ship and...
It's a bit more gentle.
Yeah, very gentle.
Which is fine. And then onto the wet slides side, there's only one, that we found anyway, that is the Wave.
Yeah, and it's one of those really... It looks so cool. Biggest anticlimax ever.
Josh and you both came off going,
we're just waiting, shh, and then you're like, oh, okay.
And they very strictly weighed everyone that went on.
Weighed everyone.
And checked the height, which I thought was kind of funny. They're checking a 38-year-old is tall enough to go on the on the slide, and I'm like, you're telling it it's 1.20 meters.
Even the kids
that
were all
on, and I'm
every
clearly
single
over
person.
that.
Yeah, weighed every single person.
But they weighed, and they're very strict on it. It's 120 kilograms. If you're over that on any of those slides, you are not going on.
No.
And there were lots of adults that therefore could not go on.
Yeah. So there was a pool. And I'd have to say, Virgin, they're giving you a run for the money for probably one of the smallest pools at sea.
It was tiny.
Yep.
It's also very much overshadowed by the Viva Speedway.
So all you heard was...
And every time the Speedway is going, all you get is the noise of it.
So there was a really cool... Up on 18, there was a really cool area up there. So alongside where the Viva Speedway was, there was Tea Time, which is...
The Tea Time is the Crazy Golf.
Crazy Golf.
Although, unlike a lot of cruise ships, I was quite surprised at this, you do have to pay apparently for Tea Time.
And I thought it was quite expensive. It was $10 a pot. $10, sorry, a pot.
Yeah. Then you have Bullseye, or the Bullseye, which is areas that you can hire for on an evening, and it looks very much like it's a darts area, isn't it? Really, with big soft sofas that you can sit in. It's kind of cool, but again, pretty expensive, and it comes at an additional cost. Something that was included though
was the stadium.
The stadium. Yeah. I was going to say the arena, but stadium.
Yeah, stadium.
Which had lots of different things you could choose from outdoor sports activities.
Football. They had
that weird ping pong thing in a tube.
Oh yeah, that was cool. That was crazy. And then they had that thing where you sit down and you kick a soccer ball between each other.
Football, table football.
Anyway,
they had football as well.
Yeah, football.
And they had badminton things that are. No, not badminton.
No,
pickleball. Pickleball. I think there was also badminton or something like that there.
Then down on the
Decade,
we had the Ocean Boulevard and the Infinity Beach. So
it's a good principle. In principle, it's a good idea.
Yeah.
The Ocean Boulevard was quite nice to walk around. Yeah. Basically, it's the promenade deck.
Yeah.
The Infinity Beach is part of that. They've got kind of infinity pools and big beds over the infinity pools. The only problem was if someone sat on the bed, obviously no one else was going to go in the area.
The pool. It was just a bit weird.
It kind of defeated the object, so it meant that one person, not lots of people. So
then there was the theatre, the Viva Theatre, and I thought when it was laid out, it was actually quite a good theatre. I thought.
Yeah, the show we went to see Beetlejuice in there.
Oh God, it was
wow.
Gosh. Wow. It was amazing.
It was really good. How they've adapted a West End, such an in-depth and big over-the-top West End theatre production into that relatively small theatre is really impressive. The acting and the actors and the singing and everything was bang on point for that show. It's our first time we've seen a true sort of Broadway production style one, because Wonder doesn't have one. Never mind. Maybe Odyssey does, and we could try that later this year. But it was truly a step up from the other ones that you see on other ships, and it was really good.
Yeah, I loved it. The space could be...
And it's included.
Yeah, and it's included. Yep, that's true. You have to book Beetlejuice, though. So
you have to book it, and before you get on board, because lots of people were upset they couldn't get in.
Exactly. There was icons. We didn't get to see icons. Would have liked to, but we just ran out of time. The spa and fitness.
Does fitness go with spa?
Yeah, it does, because it's all like supposed to be healthy stuff.
Okay, well we didn't really do the gym.
We did take our gym. I
went into the gym and filmed it. But we didn't. And I took my stuff for the gym. I just didn't go in the gym.
The intention was there. That was the main thing.
I had good intentions, okay. But yes, we tried to go in. It was £79 each for the day, and I was weak. As soon as we get on the ship, and there's that person standing on the day one going, "Spa passes?" I'm going, "Yes, please."
Yes, please. So as Tristan said, it was $79 a day, or it was roughly around $250 for the week, and which I
would say that was each, by the way, not because otherwise, why would you not just take the whole week? Yeah. But it was $250 each or $79 each for the day. So
it's internet nap.
I thought you were metal detector or something.
I was doing like the 90s sort of dial up. So
yes. Internet and app. So the internet, as we said earlier, if you have free at sea, you get 155 minutes free. If you have free at sea plus, you get the unlimited. It certainly isn't going to be the fastest internet you've ever met. It worked. I think that's about all you could say. Is it worked?
Yeah, it worked.
It generally ran and worked. They do definitely heavily limit your access to certain things. So it does say on it, no streaming. You have to pay a lot more if you want to stream. And it was very strict on you couldn't even open the YouTube app. The app was pretty functional. It's not the most amazing app. It worked.
It doesn't have to be.
It allowed you to book what you needed to book.
Yeah.
It allowed you to see what you wanted to. One weird function we did discover is that somehow I have booked the excursions on my account, even though we just logged in as me for both of them.
And the restaurants.
And you had the restaurants on yours.
Yeah.
So what happened was that I would think, we haven't got anything booked for dinner tonight. And actually then only on the day of it would it show up on both of us. So he wouldn't see the excursions and I wouldn't see the restaurants.
Yeah.
And then when it got to the day of it, we'd both be able to see that day's ones on both of our app. Mm-hmm. But it was a bit confusing because I sit there and go, we sat by the pool and I'm like, we've got nothing on for dinner tonight. And Justin goes, yeah, we have. We're going here. I'm like, oh no,
we've got half an hour.
We've got half an hour to get ready. So yeah, a little bit weird. And I'm not sure why the logic in that was because we're on the same bookings. So that was a bit weird. But yeah, there you go. Internet and app.
It's the final countdown. It's the final thoughts.
Final thoughts, indeed.
Well, so my final thoughts, I suppose, I didn't know what to expect from NCL. I didn't look at a lot of content. I just want to go on and be amazed. I was amazed in some good ways and not good ways. So I'd have to say there was some things that I found a bit frustrating. I still could not remember where the front and the back of the ship was, and I'd have to say the coming into the atrium just really just annoyed me.
There was no easy way to orientate yourself.
No.
Definitely. One thing that really, really disappointed me was we worked out that this cruise was probably one of the most expensive for a 7-day cruise.
Yep.
That even with discounts, we had spent. In fact, it's more expensive.
Yep.
Than our Viking voyage that we've got coming up, Ocean Voyage.
Yep.
In July this year, which if you're not subscribed, make sure you're subscribed.
That's what really surprised us.
But that really surprised
me.
It actually cost, this cruise ultimately cost us more. Ignore taking out flights and things even, which bear in mind Viking actually include the flight in there.
Yep.
Taking out the flight, this cruise would cost more than that. The penny pinching.
Oh my gosh.
The NCL do, sorry, not Viking. Sorry, Viking. NCL do is disgraceful, quite honestly.
When we're on the top package and you're getting penny pinched left, right, and centre, and you've paid all that money for a cruise, you're just like, what?
And they're telling you, oh, we've got to pass on the cost of the tax to you for when we're in port for the alcohol. And I'm like,
but we've got the top
I've got a package, I've paid gratuities, I've paid this. Do you know what, NCL? Include it in the price. Just up the price slightly more to cover that overall. Yeah. That's what other cruise lines are doing.
Yeah.
And you need to consider that as well. I know there are some now that are changing things in Europe a little bit, but ultimately it's really not on. When you've paid for a package, I don't expect to get an extra charge for something that I've ordered that's within my package range just because we're important. Oh, well, we've now got to pay the taxes.
Yeah.
And I know there are other cruise lines that have other ways around that to avoid it as well. So buck up your ideas, because the penny pinching, and that wasn't the only way of penny pinching that they did.
It was everywhere.
Everything was an upcharge for this, an extra charge for that.
Yep.
This would cost you extra. This was going to cost more. This is, and I just felt like, hang on, I've paid a premium price and I'm getting a budget cruise. If I paid a budget cruise and I was getting up priced, fine.
Yeah. So that was the shocking thing, is that we go
one
on
of
one of the shocking things was that our Viking Ocean cruise is actually going to be cheaper than us going on NCL. We wanted to look at other deals with NCL, and just for a normal cabin, nothing special. It was so expensive, wasn't it?
Yeah,
really expensive.
Positive.
Yes.
The ship was beautifully, interior design-wise was beautiful. There were so many things to enjoy and little bits to like. Lots of seating areas, no shortage of sun loungers. We could always get a sun lounger in these sort of areas that we wanted to, in the sun as well.
Yep.
Lots of
really
room.
Nice. Lots of room.
Lots of space per passenger.
Yeah. Lots of room. Never felt crowded. Never felt busy. Never felt crammed. It was great.
Certainly felt noisy at times, though.
It did.
I have learnt this with cruising with Americans. They seem to have their volume stuck on high. They get very excited and it gets very loud.
But we love you. We love you.
We love it, and we absolutely love cruising over there with the Americans. But the volume is really loud.
But yeah, I mean, it's good to have a different experience. So half the ship was Puerto Rican, half the ship was American. I think there was just such a small amount of other people. So yeah.
If half was half or half was the other, then yes.
Yeah.
There was zero of the others, Justin.
I don't want to be negative again, but there was one other bugbear of ours, and that was our onboard account. We felt like we're in the Caroline all the time, because the way...
By Caroline, he means the guest services.
The guest services line, sorry. But we had to complain a lot about what was going on with our
we had to ask questions because
Yeah.
it wasn't clear, and they did things that really just didn't make sense. So we had to change one of our excursions over because, and literally we transferred it, same port, same things, but we had to add Josh in, and we knew we'd pay the extra for Josh. But then what they did was they said, well, we suddenly got these extra cut charges for shore excursion on the 2 days before we were going on that excursion, and it just said on that day, it said like 2 lots of £50 charged. And I was like, well, hang on, what on earth's that for? Turns out they were like, oh well, what we've done is we've charged you for that because you got it originally free, and then what we'll do is when you go on that excursion, we'll take it off on that day. And I was like, why did you need to charge me full stop? Just leave it off. I've checked. It's not like, had I taken you're like cancelled an excursion, not rebooked it, or just simply moved it, then fair enough. If I just cancelled it, you could say, well, that legitimately wasn't your money, it was part of the perk, so you should have had it, you need to pay it back to us. But it wasn't. You were going to then give it back to me, so it was like,
it was weird. It was weird. But yeah, look, overall, I thought it was a great cruise.
We had a fantastic cruise.
Had a really great time. I do like NCL. We've been talking about maybe looking at some of the other ships because we wanted to get a comparison with the other ships.
A lot of people have said the other ships, like I think it's Bliss and Joy and Getaway, those sorts of ones, are really popular, and people have said to try those. So I think we will for the right price.
Let us know, guys. Let us know in the comments. Just let us know what you think.
I was really keen to try Haven as well, although I have seen some negatives around that, and the prices seem to be very high.
Expensive.
So I think that might take a little while, but I think for the right price, would you try NCL again?
I would, and exactly what you said. If we can find a good deal on NCL, definitely would do it. So thanks again for joining us for this review. We have got so much content coming out, as we suggested. We've got a cabin tour, we've got Kids Club, we'll talk a bit more about that, and we're going to have our normal vlogs as well.
I'm not sure how I'm going to edit all this because we have some amazing cruises coming up as well. We have a short cruise next weekend. Next weekend coming up, and we also have our Queen Anne inaugural maiden cruise coming up.
We've got Aurora.
We have Viking, we have Aurora, we have Britannia, we have Virgin, we have Odyssey. We have so much coming up that you are not going to want to miss this. So if you haven't subscribed, you need to be clicking that button because there is so much coming up. Exciting content that we have planned coming up soon.
Also, if you want to know a little bit more about cruising, we have a website which is www.cruiseboys.com, and I'm expanding that at the moment, but there's a lot of information there as well, so go and have a look. And I think that's pretty much it from now.
And if you really love us and love our content, please make sure, final plug, I promise, that you would consider, if you would, signing up to our Patreon, patreon.com/cruiseboys, where you get a lot of access to behind the scenes stuff.
Crazy us!
Things that we just don't share elsewhere. And you also get access to things like we do Zooms and more in-person conversations with everyone. So if you are doing that, please consider subscribing also to our Patreon.
And check it, and just wait soon, because I think there might be a live around the corner too.
Yeah, we did promise after 5,000. Thanks, Emma Cruises, for our little plaque there. And we're actually over 6,000 now. So thank you so much for everyone that has subscribed. If you haven't, please consider subscribing below. And we will see you all on the next video.
Yeah.
And on our next trip and cruise. If we do see you,
come and say hello.
Come and say hi.
That's a wrap. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, like, comment, and share.